Hi, this is Rainey. Welcome to Kyhmah 102. I guess this would be video 3. And I just wanted to take some time to talk a little bit more about practicing the practice of Khymah, the Kyhmah Vision, and how beneficial it is to our well-being. A lot of times we forget to take a breath. A lot of times we forget to breathe. And as musicians, as people who are facilitators of art and creativity, it's important that we put ourselves in surroundings that are natural and that are calming and symbiotic. And when we do this, it stimulates something in our psyche, something that's already there, something that's a part of our makeup, and it helps us to connect with natural elements within ourselves, on the inside of ourselves. And so this stimulation actually, it kind of can put you into a meditative state. And as you're just walking around, like let's say you're on a hike and you see a beautiful tree, or you see a group of birds flying around, and it does something to you on the inside. Practice trying to feel that, like trying to reproduce that feeling in nature. Like when you see, I remember I was in Florida and I was walking and I saw this astonishing looking tree, and I was just like, whoa. In Florida, like I've never seen such a beautiful tree. I mean, it had limbs kind of like at the base that just went all the way up, and it had all these canopies, and it just looked like something out of the movie Avatar, and it was so beautiful and it was so striking. And the feeling that it invoked in me, or that it brought out or magnified in me, was a feeling of gratitude and kind of like a humility. Like when I see beautiful birds flying in the air, or if I see pictures of beautiful rare birds, I feel like so humbled. But I feel grateful for the opportunity to having witnessed something so rare and so beautiful. And so I really feel like as musicians, like it's okay to live in the city, and it's okay to be around, the city environment, and, where things are hustling, bustling. But for creativity and for connection, I really believe that in the practice of Khymah, being out in nature will help stimulate and help us to reconnect to some of those feelings and those desires that we have within. And if we can just get into the practice of taking those feelings and those sensations and those moments of just absolute spectacular awe, and putting it into understanding that this is the feeling that's coming over me, and then look for it again inside of ourselves, because the reason why it was able to begin to happen to begin with is because it already exists in us. So the only way we're able to experience awe in a new creative way is if it's first inside of us. And if it's not inside of us, then we're not going to be able to experience that. There was this story that somebody told me many, many moons ago. I think it was this old woman, and I forget who told us the story. I heard this story somewhere, but it was based on a I think Christianity kind of concept. But I'm not talking about Christianity. I'm talking about the actual simile. And the story went something like this. There was this man, and he had this farm, and he loved his farm, and he had this big barn house, but he had a problem. Every winter, the birds that were migrating would somehow flock to the barn because it was warm, and they would overstay their welcome, and it would get too cold, and they'd end up trying to fly around, and they'd freeze, and they'd die. And come spring, he'd find dead birds all over his lawn. And he was so discouraged by that he actually thought to himself, if only I were a bird, because he tried to get them to stop from doing that, but he couldn't figure out how to communicate to the birds to get them to stop. But they continued. And so his feeling was, if only I was a bird, if only I were a bird, then I can communicate to the birds to help them not to be in the barn and meet their tragic fate of the winter. Being out in nature is like that with music or creating anything new. You become one with the environment. You become one with the elements. It sparks so much creativity within you, and you begin to feel that. Like, what does, wheatgrass feel like or sound like? What do the pine needle trees tell us? What do they say? What do they sound like? What do they feel like? What's the texture? How can I convert that into a sound or a language? Or, look at the vista. It's so beautiful. How can I incorporate what I'm feeling when I look at this vista into this pulsating kind of energy, or this frequency that I can actually push out to others and begin the work of Kyhmah Vision. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. I just wanted to say, as much as possible, try to get out in nature, try to, hug a tree, feel the dirt, rub some gravel between your hands, get all the textures of creation under your, get it into your cognition. Kind of like if you've ever seen The Karate Kid. I know I reference movies a lot, but if you've ever seen The Karate Kid, you know that, his sensei, Master Mokioto, whatever his name was, Mokioto or whatever his name was, gave him a stone to hold and told him not to let go of that stone. I mean, he knew what that stone felt like. Nobody could fool him. And that's kind of what it's like being in nature. You go out into nature, you touch the grass, you feel the grass, you work with the soil, you hug a tree, you hold a flower, you smell a flower, you observe the bumblebees, you observe the views. Last night this morning at 6:03, the moon was so bright and so spectacular, it woke me up out of my sleep, and I was just staring at the moon saying, oh my God, it is so beautiful. It looked like a spotlight had come into my window. That's how bright it was. But feeling all that nature has to offer actually will help us in our practice of the Kyhmah Vision. And so while I was out here, I felt I should do a short video and touch base and let you guys know how important it is to connect using nature as a way of texture, sound, and vibrations. And so that's it for now. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.